Hi, welcome to today's show, Focus. This one is the International Women's Day feature. With me today, I have a lawyer, a mother, a wife, and a prominent public figure in Guyana society. And today with me, I have Miss Anastasia Sanford Fredricks. Many may know her as the lawyer, some may know her as the mom, and as I reiterate again, some may know her as a public figure. She's here with me today on Focus, and we're gonna learn, a bunch of stuff about women leadership and where she expects women to be in society. So, Miss Stanford Fredericks, I must say welcome to Focus. Actually a privilege having you here with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here today too with you, and thank you for choosing me on this International Women's Day talk.
So, for our viewers who don't know who Miss Sanford Fredericks is, the reason why we actually reiterating Sanford Fredericks is because Fredericks is the married name.
Yes.
So, so for those who don't know who Miss Fredericks is, do you mind letting them know who Miss?
Well, I am, as you said, Anastasia Sandford Fredricks. I am married to Paul Fredericks. I have three biological sons, but as you may know, many other that call me mom, many other that call me mom, that I've taken under my wing, and they are like children to me. I treat them as my own. I'm 44 years old. I am an attorney at law by profession, but before becoming an attorney, as the general public would know, they know the name Stacy, or popularly known as T-Back Stacy. To this day, I still have persons who would make reference to it. It's not that I am ashamed of it, but it's just, it puts a smile on my face, like, yeah, that's me, that's where I was, and this is who I am now. It's not where you start, it's where you end or where you're heading.
That is so remarkable. It actually is. So, what do you think? As a female, in this society, what do you think, are the most important qualities of, a successful leader?
The most important quality of a successful leader, one, discipline. You must have the discipline for what you want to be and where you're heading. It's just as simple as anything else. If you want to be slim, you have to have the discipline to do gym. If you want to be an attorney, you have to have the discipline to study, to get up, to do all that is required and that's necessary to become an attorney. If you want to be a successful businesswoman, you have to have the necessary discipline in order to do that. So that's one of the most important aspect of becoming a successful person or leadership in women. One of the other most important aspect is persistence.
Yeah.
I love that word, persistence. I think I had it written on my car. It's like an everyday word that I keep reminding myself. Always be persistent in what you want to do. You gotta keep going. Every failure, every no is another opportunity. Every failure is a setup for a comeback. And you just have to be persistent in what you want to do and who you want to become. And that to me is two of the most important things that I have mapped out for myself to become a successful businesswoman.
But also, what are some of the challenges, though? Or let's say, what are some of the biggest challenges that female leaders may face?
Well, I can speak for myself during my journey of becoming an attorney. Some of my challenges were I was not fully, I don't want to say educated. I attended a Charleston Secondary School, and so education was not my first thing. I didn't gravitate towards education. And so I don't have a very fantastic report card to show 80 out of 100.
Yeah.
And 100 out of 100, it was barely making it. And so I did not gravitate too much towards that. English, while I speak it, writing it was not my thing. I was not very versed in knowing my English and writing letters, and you're now at university level, and you have people telling you all sorts of things, and you can't. The first thing I got to do was a paper on law and morality, and I remember copying and pasting everything wholeheartedly, plagiarism at its best. And I gave it to my lecturer, and he called me in the room and he said, this is a crime in other countries. It's plagiarism. I can tell it's from off the internet, and you know better. And then he said, this is very serious, and if you really need to make it into this course, you have to get serious with, a whole lot of things, including knowing English. And so I Googled it, and I made Google my best friend at that time. And Google taught me, as far as it could have, it taught me how to speak and how to write using pronunciations, exclamations, and all of the different other aspects of the English, or having a good command of the English language. So that was one of my challenges. Another one was being a mother while I was trying to study to young children at the time who needed my attention as well. And the books needed more attention because I was in my 30s. I didn't just leave school like all the others. And so I was already a mother of two boys, and the challenges that you were facing with getting them off to school, seeing that they are educated and all of that. Though my boys were, they suffered a lot in terms of not having mommy around, because I had to send my youngest son Malachi to live with his father, and I had the older one. It takes a community. His grandmother and aunt stepped in, and they were assisting me with him as well. And so it was hard as a mother to not being able to spend that time. But I also knew what I wanted to achieve for the betterment of them in years to come. And they're reaping it now. They're reaping it now. So those for me were my challenges. Not being able to cope with young, vibrant children that just came out of school, and I'm talking Bishop's QC, President's College, and I'm now there coping, so I had no other choice but to be the class clown. And I was perceived and loved by all, I would say, in my class of 2013, I think, 2013 at the University of Guyana, and it helped me tremendously. Like every time I speak wrong, and the corrections were there, I had a group of amazing people that was stood in my corner, and many times that I wanted to drop out because finance, that was another major struggle. Finance, it was not coping well. I can't do this. I'm unable with it. It's too much. Bills piling up, and then you have the relationship aspect. That you're dealing with, you can't give as much attention, and you can't give yourself or lend yourself to anybody else when you're studying, and so it became a challenge. And person, the relationship I was in at the time, was looking elsewhere for the attention. But then you gotta choose this when you remember your grandmother words. You gotta choose boys or books, and so I had to do, the latter of the two. I had to choose my books over, the guy that I was dealing with at the time. So those were some of my challenges as a mature woman trying to map myself through life at a later stage in life. So I say do it while you're young, before kids.
Great. Well, let's just stay right here just for a moment. You see, the thing that as men we look at it with society, we look at women, and I'm talking about from a confident level, confidence level. And what I've seen a lot of times is that women seem to perish, especially when it comes to confidence. Because, for example, we know some may know, of, let's just use the word Stacy before, and now we're looking at Anastasia Sandford Fredricks. Those are two different, persons. One in the past and one now in the future. But how did you manage to, as much as some people may talk about what was happening yesterday, how did you manage still though, Miss Sandford Fredricks, to actually stay confident in the now?
Self-respect. I give myself a lot of self-respect. I did not allow I just had a passion for the dancing. I just had a love and a passion for the dancing. I'm a love of the arts. Everything arts, I'm a love of the arts. But the style of dancing that I did started out as, another stream of income to survive. It was just acts of survivorship. And so I never allowed myself to be disrespected, and I maintained a certain level of self-respect in terms of, I did not allow people to point their fingers at me and say, oh, yes, you dance and you do this, oh, she's a this and she's a that. You can't do that. There's nobody out there that can point their fingers at me that can say, oh, she was a, prostitute, or that you can't do that. You can't say that I was a striptease or a go-go dancer or that they would put it. I own that, but you can't go further. And because of that, I had to maintain a certain level of my mental stability had to be in place in terms of trying to navigate life and trying to move from one level to the next. And my motivation within all of that was to show young people that you could propel from nothing to something, because no one recognized me or knew who I was, or respected me rather. You don't want to have to get advice from some go-go dancer, do you? Yeah. No, but now that I'm an attorney at law, that rings some respect to it. And so the main aim was to make you respect me enough to know. Let me give you an example. Yeah. One time, a young lady walked into my office and she was like, I'm looking for T-Bat Stacy. In local colonial language. I'm looking for T-Bat Stacy. So I said, welcome to my office, you may have a seat. And how may I help you? Oh, it's you? You T-Bat Stacy? I said, well, yes, I am. But how may I help you? The name is Miss Sanford. I wasn't married at the time. The name is Miss Sanford, attorney at law. How may I help you? Well, I need some advice. I said, well, look at that. You need some advice from me. And very, what to say, I'm the queen of sarcasm. So, I let her down very slowly and let her bring the respect back to the table without disrespecting her. So it's kind of sort of like that. You have to maintain that level of respect for yourself, not for nobody else, for yourself.
So now that you're what many may presume as an established attorney at law, you're really into it now, you're good at it and things along that nature. What are some of the biggest challenges you face now as a lawyer?
Well, there are no challenges in respect to who I was and who I am now, but there are challenges in the legal profession as per se. But in terms of what I face, it's just normal. It's the fight done. I can give another example. There was a client that came to me. He wanted to buy, a very prominent guy. He wanted to buy a property, and he was of a different ethnicity. And so, we went to a certain lawyer, and he didn't like the way that the lawyer handled him. And so he ended up to me. And, he didn't tell me first that he went to this lawyer. And so I get up and I went and I did my research and I told him this and that, and I gave him, the advice. I went to his office, I had a board meeting with him, and every question that he asked, I was able to answer, and he was blown away. He was blown away. And so he said, I'm going to use you as my attorney to represent the company. And of course, now I'm calling the other attorney for certain documents, and now I'm asking him. He's like, oh, using you. And this man went and Googled me. And him and his secretary gave the client an earful. Like, he was like, I don't think she's any real attorney. Oh, she was a stripper. We want taking advice from a stripper. Go with that. And the man was trying to equate the information he's now receiving with the information, the way that I presented myself to him, and he could not believe what is it he was hearing. So he came to my office and he said, I'm going to tell you, this is what was told to me, etc., etc., but I still want to use you. I still want you as my attorney. I still want you to represent my company because I believe that you can. And that for me, it was it was like one of the best moments that I've ever had as an attorney to hear a client say, I believe in you. And so to back to your question as what are some of the challenges, it may very well be that, people using your past or trying to use your past against you to get the upper hand.
Wow.
But it can't happen.
Chances
Yes.
is such a wonderful thing. It's something that a lot of women don't have full access to just because of their past, as Miss Sanford alluded to. So we're seeing the rapid rise of women taking over some positions in this world. It's really wonderful to see, and I am a huge fan of equality. So it's really weird to hear it coming from a man because we want to dominate everything actually. But I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of equality. We're seeing women taking over tech companies. We're seeing women, controlling the fashion industry. And things along that nature. What do you think, though, are the greatest opportunities for ladies?
Well, first we gotta be careful with the way that we want to hold on to that control. You don't want to diminish the control or the strength of a man or to diminish his capabilities by trying to, you gotta know your role, you understand, and know who you are and be strong in your leadership qualities by not trying to overpower that man's role as well as a man. And this is not just in the workplace, this is in the home, this is in the relationships, this is in a marriage. You gotta understand your role and play it well. It's a beautiful thing to see women in leadership because of where we come from. Long ago in legal aspect, we were not allowed to own homes, we were not allowed to, our place in the home was barefoot, pregnant, and stay in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That was our place. Once men go out and work, and only men can do this, and men can buy the property, but it can't go into your name because men were seen as we were seen as their reward or their property.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that we're no longer their property, and we now can do all of these things, and we have all of these rights that are equated to us. We love it, but my advice to women is to ensure that you own it, but you don't overpower yourself by having that much power, in your hand that you slow the roll of the man.
Yeah.
At the same time, you have to recognize what is your role and what is the position of the man. And we are born nurturers.
Yeah.
And your role sometimes is to feed that man or nurture him into the type of leadership that he ought to have. It's not that we want to control everything, but we just want our presence to be known. But you can't just let your presence to be known and then you overpower the man by doing that. Then you make the man insignificant. And who wants to have an insignificant man? I don't.
Definitely. So we're on to our final question. It's been wonderful actually speaking to you. I must reiterate so Miss Sandford Fredricks. Do you have any final advice, for women who want to become leaders themselves?
Take a leap of faith. Jump. I'd never forget some of my most depressing times while studying in Trinidad and Tobago while I was living there. I listened a lot to Judge Lynn Toller and Steve Harvey. Those were my two mentors actually that navigated me throughout law school. And some of their motivational speaking, one that resonated with me was Steve Harvey. And he said that, have you ever seen a bird test a limb before he lands on it? And whenever a bird is flying in the air and he just jump in the limb, if it's too weak, he uses wings and fly. And so that's my advice. Take a leap of faith. If you jump on a limb and you realize it's too weak, you get up and fly again. You never allow anything to break you. You never allow anybody to break your spirit. Don't speak negative into your life. I all the time say to myself, I am successful. I am way above where I ought to be at this age. I am at a stage in my life where I have so many young people around me, and they look up to me, and they ask me for my advice, and they call me mom. And it's such a wonderful thing to have and to hold. It's better than money. I've never ever charged a fee to doing anything for young people. I've never charged a fee to do nothing. I've been on mentorship boards. I've been with Miss World Guyana, with the young women. I've been with Wazim, with the Teen Scholarship. I'm now with Miss Vaughn, with the Miss Guyana team. I've never, because I don't believe that there's certain things in this world that money can't buy. And one such thing is sharing knowledge and trying to help someone. When you reach to a certain level in life, your job is now to pull these young people up with you, and you can't put a block or a barrier there by charging a fee, or you block your own self and your own blessings when you don't share your knowledge that you have. I would give my last to anyone that comes to me with they need to do something, or they want to do something to better themselves. And I can tell you, during the pandemic, I know I'm all over the place, but it's the way that it's coming. During the pandemic, I teamed up with Melamel, and we did some distribution and stuff and hampers, and then I worked with the police youth group, the East Penitence police youth group, and we went into Alwaysong and listened to some of the cries of young mothers in those destitute areas and the plight that they were facing in terms of a lot of poverty. And I remember going into my own pocket and, a whole 100 bags we distributed. We filled those bags with school items. We were reaching out to teachers to ask them to assist with the teaching of the children in the community. We did an entire put on a football game because they wanted something to channel the energy, because it's all by stuff. Yeah. To channel the energy into something else. And I had my sons, coach the football team, and it was a beautiful thing. We bought trophies, we gave them cash prizes, and I did not mind, and I did not feel it. I didn't go hungry that month. Yeah. That month my blessings came twofold. I could have paid 2 months mortgage, and it's like when you do these type of charitable things from your heart, it comes back 2 times fold. And one of the many things that I really wish to do, it's very hard to get corporate Guyana to come on board, is to teach these single mothers in these destitute areas a skill. Teach them a skill so that they can go back into the community and employ the very persons from their community, cake decorating, hairdressing, whatever it is that they want to do, to teach them a skill and to get persons to come on board to, actually do the teaching. And so that they don't now have to beg you and say, please do this and please do that, please help with this and please. You can do it for yourself. And that's the aim and the message that I hope to achieve someday. I know that I will, to achieve someday in having, women stop depending on men. I've never had to depend on men. I don't know if it's the strength of my mother or, the women in my life and the women in my circle, but it's not that I don't want to or that I refuse. It's that I know you know your role and you have to play your role. Yeah. And I hate to hear a woman say that, oh, he got to do this for me, I know he got to do this for me. I hate it with everything that I have. Like, what about you? What do you have to do for yourself? Like, I would pay for dinner for me and my guy. I would take him shopping. I would do that for me. We ask equality. Why not?
You guys heard it. My whole takeaway from this Women's International Day presentation is a leap of faith. Test the branch, and if it's weak, you fly away. Those were the words of Miss Anastasia Sandford Fredricks. And I must say, it's really beautiful to see where women are actually headed. there's such a long way to go though. We're seeing some countries that it seems to me that they are not even considering own equality, you know. So we have a long way to go, and definitely we like the work that you are doing, Miss Fredericks, and we here at Big Smith will support whatever you're doing, you know, for empowering of both male and female to be, law-abiding citizens, to be citizens that are, are fully educated. Also, I must reiterate, they must be tax-paying citizens. I'm just kidding. A special thanks to my technical operator Cleveland James for producing such a wonderful show of focus on a daily and a weekly and a monthly and a yearly basis. It's such a wonderful time working with him. Miss Nicole, Miss Anastasia Sandford Fredricks, I must shake that. I must come in for the word to her too.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you much for being here with us on the focus. Oh, is there any last words for any word for us?
Not really. Like I said, take a leap of faith, be an eagle and soar. That's it. Yes. Be an eagle and soar. Don't be the bird, be the eagle. Yes. And don't be the jaguar, the fastest. Which is the fastest?
I think the cheetah is the fastest.
The cheetah.
Yeah.
So we can have this debate whole day. But either the jaguar or the cheetah. Yeah. Don't be them that they're faster. Remember, the eagle flies and he can see, soars higher. Yeah. The cheetah might be faster, but the eagle is higher.
Thank you very much, Miss Fredericks.
You are most welcome. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. Bye, guys.
At the most critical, life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our spectacle care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.